Hi folks, hope you are okay. Just a quick video. We're just going to look at some controversy that's just broke out. Just do it for a few minutes. um, I'll show you the actual video. So that's the actual video. Now I could play it here, but I don't know what it's going to sound like. I'll just test what it sounds like. Uh, just give me a second.
He's live streaming. She's live streaming with her husband.
She is?
So let me just check that just a second. I want to just check the sound. Just give me a second. Let me. I just want to do a sound check, and then we can continue. I'll do it. So. Okay. So we're going to just play it here as well on my phone here. So we'll listen to it here.
She's live streaming with her husband.
She is?
Goodbye. And they're trying to use your live stream as click because they're attention whores, they're prostitutes.
Yep.
But the beautiful thing is, you saw, this is what the Eastern Orthodox want to represent them. Eastern Orthodox, these are the guys who want to represent you.
Guy curses me out, calls me
No,
out his name,
and
and they want him to be the big monitor. So say, Zealotson, it's nice knowing you, brother. You're gone.
Well, Zealotson did that too?
He said that I don't care. Gone, buddy.
No,
Don't message me. Don't communicate with me.
Yeah, and see, guys, you see why I call them whores and sluts, and I cuss them out because
Sam's gonna beat me up too. Sam's gonna beat me up.
That's what it's.
They're all gonna beat me up.
Tells her every night. So Andrew, see each other one day. I want to see how brave you are. And your smile, little feminine. You and
They're gonna beat me up.
that's why
They're gonna beat me up.
you bail them out because what's that product? I guess it's not helping. Right? Sure, I see you. Back up, Andrew. Your husband. Place. But anyway, all he's gonna do is he's on the truck. This is what Zach Dyer did.
Sam's gonna beat me up too. Sam's gonna beat me up. They're all gonna beat me up.
Don't be hit. Curse me out. You're rather than insulting and acting that way, if you get mad, claim to be a Christian.
They're gonna beat me up.
He's trying to use this as clickbait to get people on his channel.
Yep, right.
Don't stoop.
I have way more people on my channel than these guys do. What are you talking about?
And the world is called the bitch. That's what.
What are these people talking about? What do they have over there right now? I don't even, what do they got combined right now? I don't even know.
So, guys, I'm not the Christian. Pray for me. Andrew, I'll see you one day. I promise you. And we're going to see how brave you are.
Well, I'm here right on stage. Andrew, you're going to behave, Andrew? Please, Andrew, please speak civil.
No, he's going to swear.
So this is a controversy. Jay Dyer is in the middle of it. He's Eastern Orthodox. You've got William Albrecht. You've got Sam Shamoun on one side. You've got Jay Dyer on another side, and Andrew Wilson's come in. He's, I think, Eastern Orthodox. First thing I want to say is what a dog dinner this is. Where is Christianity in all this? Where is the love of God in all this? It is terrible. The attitude, the narcissism, it's unbelievable. I mean, the narcissism from all of them. I mean, I have enjoyed immensely Andrew Wilson. I've watched many of his debates with secularists, and they're phenomenal. I've really enjoyed them. San Shimon is superb when it comes to critiquing Islam. William Albrecht is very good on historical information, and Jay Dye is excellent at debating with Muslims. But all of them, theologically, are up the creek. All of them heretical. Um, Andrew Wilson, he believes in theistic evolution. Uh, Sam Shimon has gone over to Catholicism. William Albrecht has gone over to Catholicism. Jay Dyer is Eastern Orthodox, so say no more. So they're all up the creek theologically. But this, what is this? This is a dog's dinner. This is a total dog's dinner. It's an absolute dog's dinner, to say the least. Um, it is just an absolute dog's dinner. There's no Christianity in it. I mean, if anybody wants to come on live and talk about this, feel free. So whatever the controversy is, first of all, how can you get to the controversy when thanks, Tony Talks. Thank you, bro. So before we even get to whatever the controversy is, it's all abuse. It's all narcissism. It's terrible. So let's continue.
Brother, you're wasting your time. Watch. She's gonna manifest. Civil, please be civil. Civil.
You guys should apologize for threatening to beat me up. That hurt my feelings. Threatening to beat me up. You guys are really mean. Like, can we be peaceful? Curse before anyone else can be peaceful. Well, you should. Well, here's the thing, man. All you need to do is let me make my case. Am I allowed to do that or not?
You're not insulting me.
Yes, it's okay. Can I make my case? Okay, so here's what actually happened. At least so that your audience knows exactly what happened. I didn't have any interest in this to begin with. This was a favor.
You told me, and to be honest, I'll back that up. You told me.
Yeah, I have no. Okay, hang on.
In the first
Can I make my case, please? Am I allowed to do that?
William Albrecht, I can back that up. I can.
That's molestings on my.
Am I? Yeah. So
go ahead.
As long as I'm allowed to actually make my case.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm just pulling up the text here. 1 second. Yeah. So we'll make sure that there's no confusion. Here's what was actually said, which, by the way, generally speaking, bad form to release private DMs, but I mean, you can. It's just generally bad form. You said, yes, let me finish eating with my daughter. This was about a phone call. And I said, just don't worry about it. Please don't give out my number either. I'd appreciate it. Have a good night. I have no dog in this fight. It's just become more pain in the ass than I'm willing to deal with. I just don't have time to screw around with it. That could have been the entire end of this, by the way. The whole end of it. Because I don't care about it. If this is some niche theological dispute between, by the way, earlier on my stream, I laid all of this out, said that I like Sam Shamoun, said that I was a big fan of his work, especially his anti-Muslim work. No issues with him whatsoever. Never have had any issues with him whatsoever. I said there's a bunch of prima donnas who are involved in this, and because of that, I have very little incentive to care about it. Now,
I look for that, Andrew.
Now, let me finish. So we go through, right? I was Jay Dyer was live. I don't know if you knew this or not, but he was live.
I know. I found out right now.
Okay, he was live while I was texting for the debate prompt so that we could get specifics on the debate prompt. That's what you requested. That's exactly what I did. He agreed to the debate prompt. After he agreed to the debate prompt, I said, yes, he agrees to that the post-Vatican II church contradicts the pre-Vatican II church magistrate tradition. That was it. You agreed. You said we're 100% set up for this. I didn't think anything else of it. That was it. Now, the entire framing of this, that Jay Dyer, hang on. Let me finish.
Yes, you're not being honest.
I am being honest, but let me finish. The whole framing of this as being some kind of like Jay Dyer ran over to Andrew to try to bail him out. I've hosted thousands of debates on the Crucible. It started as a debate channel. Tons of theologians have come on and debated. I don't care what their denomination is. They're going to get a fair debate. And if they do care, I offer to have any Catholic that you wanted come in to co-moderate the debate. Happy to do it. Wouldn't bother me a bit. Okay. From my perspective,
So I think there's a lot of drama going on here, and it's not actually getting to the detail, and that's what it is when you become famous like these guys. A lot of it's ego and drama.
I'm doing the favor because this takes my time, energy, and effort. Was not something I was expecting. Jay requested it. He likes to debate on the Crucible. I understand why. It gives him maximum reach. Happy to do the debate. Not happy to deal with prima donna nonsense. And so I would rather initially just be like, wash my hands of it, walk away from it. You guys wanted to do it. We got it all set up. I didn't think about it anymore. But the caricature of like Jay ran over and tried to get me to do A, B, and C, and D. I literally washed my hands of this almost immediately. You continued to pursue it. I was happy to do so.
So then let me tell you where I think you're being dishonest. You asked me to rewrite it out. I responded to you, and then the final message was me asking you what was agreed upon. And you never responded. So to me, that made me feel like, all right, this guy doesn't want to deal with it anymore. I'll let it go.
Wait, what do you mean?
But hold on, Andrew.
I'm just asking for clarification. What do you mean?
Come on, Andrew. I just showed the message. The final message was sent by myself to you. Mm-hmm. You never responded. You never confirmed. So no, Andrew, don't BS the audience. I'm not lying. I told the audience what I said was that I messaged you last because people were saying that Jay said that I ran from debating the Crucible. What does that do with me? It has nothing to do with me. My friend, I never said it. Can I break it down? I said the final message was sent by me.
So what we're seeing here is William Albrecht's a nice guy, but he asked me a few years ago if it was organized for me to debate him, and he contacted me and said, "Would you like to debate?" And we agreed. Suckle Films was organizing it, and then he left it. He never communicated again. So if that's William's track record, he's a nice guy, but that's his track record. So I don't think that what he's saying is going to be correct. I would go with Wilson.
You're avoiding going on Andrew.
Time curse you out because you're on your stream. You're on your stream talking. When did you send that last message?
10:07, not even an hour after you. And you read it.
Okay. You read it. You mean that night? Yeah. Last night, I didn't read this message last night. Show me the timestamp. It was
Andrew, you know better. You just
no, I don't know better. That is not true. I did not read this message last night.
How can I show you the last one if the last one says "come on"? It says "red" because I responded.
No, the one that you're talking about, the according to sacred scripture and sacred traditions. Show us the timestamp.
Oh, the timestamp?
Yeah.
Just show it to him.
What time?
You can see it on the screen. Yeah. So, right here. Yeah, well, you're going to have to do it where it doesn't show up. Hold on. You're going to have to put his name instead of his number showing. So put A.
Because I'm going to prove to you that this is not possible for me to have read it at that time because I was live streaming an invasion, sir.
Okay.
I mean,
show.
There's tunnel stuff. That's your scent, not the red. Show me the timestamp for reading.
There's no way to show.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying to you is it's actually impossible for me to have seen it. I was live streaming last night when you sent that message.
Oh, so because you're live streaming, you can't look at a message on your phone. Come on.
You said it was timestamped.
So let's get to the meat of it now. We'll get to the meat of it.
Here, let's do it in dual stream. And I said, I don't think double streams will work because at that time we were talking about him coming off my stream. And then what he used to do is that he would just hope that months later you would forget, and then when it came around time for the debate, he would say, "Oh, I've got personal issues coming up." So Ubi had a similar type of experience with William Albrecht, and since that time, pretty much everyone just quit caring or paying attention to him. And he didn't have any audience or traction until he got on Shamoun's channel anyway. But his papacy stuff is literally just the most basic bitch low tier stuff, as we'll see when we get to the Albrecht presentation here in a moment. And we're going to have fun reacting to that. But before we do, I'll explain what happened today. So Shamoun did a stream about the Trinity and Protestant and Catholic apologists and their different strategies and takes, who has a better model, and whether the Protestants were better than the Roman Catholics and so forth. And he said something to the effect of, well, right now, the Protestants are beating the Catholics on the Trinity because they will go to the Old Testament and they'll talk about the angel of the Lord. That's true. However, what I disagreed with was that between these two, the Protestant apologist and the Roman Catholic apologist, he was missing the obvious Orthodox apologist. I'm not talking about me, Dr. Branson, and the entire history of the Orthodox monarchical Trinitarian model. And then he did later mention that. Now, I don't care about the ultimate issue of whether he said that I was good at the Trinity or whatever. I'm not worried about that. My point in DMing him was that I don't believe either the Protestants or the Roman Catholics have good Trinitarian models because they don't even have the triad. And they don't have the triad because you don't just have the triad as an abstract doctrine in your head. It's not a doctrine
They don't have the triad, oh, for goodness sake, Dyer.
that you have separate from the doctrine of the energies. There is no Trinity without energies doctrine.
Oh my goodness sake. Dyer, 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 Dyer. Oh, Dyer, 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 Dyer. Oh, Dyer, Dyer, Dyer. Where did you get the energies from? The idea of the energies from? Be interesting to know where you got it from, bro. Well, I know where you got it from. And that person who you got it from was not particularly accepted amongst Eastern Orthodox for a long, long time, bro.
But the weird part about Shamoun is Shamoun seems to think you can theophanies. He doesn't even know about the energies. The only way to have theophanies is to have the energetic manifestation of those theophanies. I don't think he even knows that, and I'm going to show you the evidence that he doesn't even seem to know that. So here's the.
I think with the energies thing, the problem with the energies is they don't have ontological status, and that's the problem with it. You're going down the energies route that God has energies. It's a very dodgy ground to go on. the theologian that came up with this or developed this was very philosophical, and it's coming from a very philosophical bent, but it's not scriptural. In John chapter 14, 15, 16, when he talks about the Holy Spirit, there's no idea of energies there.
Horrible thing that I did. Apparently, if you message him while he's doing a live stream, I don't spend all my time watching Sam Shamoun. I think I did. I've watched some of his Muslim debates, and that's about it. Dared to message him while he was streaming and said, "Hey, let's set up friendly debate where we have timed responses." It's the horrible demonic thing I did. So apparently, if you ask Sam Shamoun a question while he's trying to live stream, you're of the devil. I didn't realize this. I didn't know that that's what counts as demonic manifestation. Now, I've always thought it was a little odd that he always calls anyone who disagrees manifesting, manifesting, manifesting. I mean, people who have the vices or who lose their temper, they're not all possessed, and they're not all demonic manifestations. This is just bizarre. But some of you might be wondering, well, why did you continue on being friends with Sam Shamoun for so long? Well, I wanted to make Sam Shamoun Orthodox. I want him to become Orthodox, as is the case with everybody that we interview.
So now we're getting to somewhere where I want to. One of the reasons why I did this video is to say, I told you so. And where did I tell you so? The ecumenicalism. You know, Dyer, Sam Shamoun, and William Albrecht were all on a video. No, sorry, Sam Shamoun and Dyer. And I think, let's just see if it... see. See, there was a team of them. Yeah. Yeah, so you have yeah, so Dyer and Sam Shamoun have been on multiple shows together, working together, and I think William Albrecht's been involved with that as well. So the ecumenicism now has crashed because now they're all fighting each other, the Catholics and the Eastern Orthodox, and that shows you that ecumenicalism can't work because you either get together and ditch every view and you're all one like a conglomerate soup, or you start to show your true colors of what you believe and you separate. But true unity is based on the basics. You have basic beliefs, like you believe the Bible is the word of God, you believe Christ died for our sin, etc. And you stand on these basics together. So I can meet with charismatic, I can meet with evangelical, I can meet with Baptist, Methodist, as long as we hold to the basics of the faith. But the problem with Eastern Orthodoxy and Roman Catholicism and this ecumenicalism, they come together, but they come together with heretics and heresies. And now it's the wheels have fallen off. Now it's come apparent that if you actually question where you're actually coming from in this ecumenical soup, that there are things that you don't agree with that are serious, and now you've split. And that's the problem with ecumenicalism. And these guys were involved in that. And at Speaker's Corner, there's a lot of this going on. But the wheels fall off because Roman Catholicism and Eastern Orthodox, they're completely antithetical. But they're both heretical. So let's hear it.
Interact with, talk to,
And so, as always, so I think it's to the fact that point in the last 7 years of knowing Sam Shamoun, can anyone point out any time where I ever said anything negative at all or critical? Nothing but respect for Sam Shamoun throughout those entire years. So it was a very bizarre response because, number one, if you're doing a live stream, don't pay attention to Skype messages. Like, so all you have to do is just pay attention to the live stream. There's no reason to get mad over somebody DMing you while you're live streaming. And why would that make anyone who DMs you demonic? It's just bizarre. And nothing in the messages was out of the norm. Every time I've ever messaged Shamoun or said anything, it's just direct, straightforward, no BS, no dancing around, just straight up. Hey, I disagree with your take on Protestant and Roman Catholic Trinity models because you can't have this doctrine without the energies. Well, again, that was just way over the top. So you'll see here live, this is what was happening.
Actually, he just contacted me on Skype. So you guys think he doesn't? Here. Okay, see, this is what happened. See, this is what you did, Jay? You can't control yourself? Now I'm gonna, because they're not here. Here you go.
I can't control myself. So just DMing this guy, I can't control myself. I'm just
Right here. I guess he needs attention, and his fangirls are foaming at the mouth. I think
he thinks that I need the attention when, again, I brought him on the Alex Jones show. Now he's actually going to make a reference to that later and say that I'm crazy conspiracy theorist when he went on the Alex Jones show. So that would mean he's also an insane loon conspiracy theorist for coming on the show that I invited him on.
Live here. Here it is, guys. Let me show you. Right now, as I'm going live, I don't know what's going on. He wants to debate William and I. William and I. Here, let me call him. Let's see. Right here.
Does this look like demonic manifestation? We can even do it in a friendly, timed response way. Like, there's nothing. It's the same kind of reaction with Calvin Robinson. Now, part of the reason that this happened too is that I talked for months with Sam about how to set up the right roundtable. And they think that because no one wants to interact or have anything to do with William Albrecht or Sam Shamoun, by the way. I didn't tell him this because I don't want to hurt his feelings, but the other reason the other people don't want to interact with Albrecht is that they don't want to interact with Sam Shamoun. And that's all the people in my circles. So no one else wanted to come on this roundtable. And so I was trying to figure out ways to set up the roundtable where we could have me do a presentation and then separately Albrecht do a presentation. Well, I suggested that 3 or 4 times, and I guess that wasn't good enough because no one wanted to interact with Albrecht because Albrecht is a shady character. And because they don't like Sam Shamoun. So, but I didn't tell him any of that. I just left all that out and tried to organize it. By the way, I organized the Fresh and Fit thing to bring him on. So I don't know, what was a vast conspiracy for me all these years to get him, help him out with nice interviews, big spots, and what it was all to go after him because I'm demonically possessed. I mean, it's just insane. It's like I disagreed with your take that Protestants and Roman Catholic apologists in the pop sphere, like Aiken or any of those people, any of them have very good takes on the Trinity. And so I asked simply for a timed response debate on my channel. Now, I'm going to play a clip in a minute ago where he lost his mind tonight and said some really insane stuff, which makes me worried about it. And you're going to see that he doesn't even seem to be aware of the energies doctrine, which is odd because he's out here teaching the Trinity, debating all these topics, and then he plays the victim on his stream and says that you don't ask a person who's new to all this to come to debate. Well, then why are you teaching? If you're new to all this, you ought to be being catechized. But this is a problem we're going to get to with Shamoun here in a second. I've got 5 main issues with what the problem is with Sam Shamoun, and it's probably not what you think. I'm not going to go after him on a personal level. I don't do that. That's the kind of stuff that people who don't really have anything solid to stand on, that's what they go after. I'm going to point out what I think is the actual issue here, and it really has nothing to do with intellect or doctrines or dogmas or anything like that. It has to do with being willing to go into the catechumenate. That's the problem. And I think he's pretty much expressed that he would rather go to a Catholic church because, quote, they give him communion. Well, that doesn't prove that it's the true church because they will give you the communion. His other arguments for why he's Catholic are things like miraculous meetings of other Roman Catholics or something. I don't know how that proves from Catholicism. I mean, if I met a bunch of Satanists in the next week, would that miraculously, providentially mean I'm supposed to join the Church of Satan? It's a bad series of almost charismatic level stuff, and we're actually going to see that I think there is an element of charismatic influence and delusion that's going on with Shamoun, which is also part of the problem when we look at his bizarre idea that dust particles that fly across his camera are miraculous presences and appearances. Which, yes, he actually believes that. And now people are saying running from the debate. No, you say I offered multiple times for them to come and do a timed debate, and they said, no, you come to Williams' channel right now. Well, I was on a podcast earlier tonight, as you can see, with, quite frankly, I didn't have time to go to Williams' channel. But I've spent months and years in the past trying to debate and set up debates with William Albrecht. And so if they're not willing to accept a debate where there's timed responses, what's the point? And what's the point of debating a person who himself can't debate or defend his positions? He's got to bring in his handler. Well, I told him he can come debate too, but they don't want that. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's the rest of what he says.
Dude that I've tried to respect, he's now barking and manifesting.
Barking and manifesting. Asking you to come have this discussion. Barking. So that's barking and manifesting. So you notice that anyone who disagrees, this guy thinks is demonically possessed. Now, he may actually believe it.
Yeah, but the thing is, Jay, you work with the guy. You've been working with Guy for a long time, mate. You've been making videos with him, standing on debates with him. So, what was all that about? You knew all this before, but now it's all coming out. So why did you work with the guy in the first place? You knew what he was like. The problem is this is narcissism and egotism. When YouTube channels become big, they become narcissistic. I do believe Wilson and Jay Dyer, their story. I have had dealings with Albright myself, and he has said things, and yeah, it's not correct. Well, he's emailed me. He's emailed me and asked for a debate, and then he's changed his view and not contacted me again. That's William Albright. So I have had experience where William has not been straight, not been honest. So I agree with Jay Dyer, his story, but Jay, you was doing debates with the guys, so come on.
It's like there's something going on. Like he actually thinks everything that's happening is somehow like about and directed to him. As if someone couldn't just disagree with him or even just get angry. If somebody gets angry with you, you immediately assume that they're demonically possessed. It's just bizarre. I mean, it's not true, but it might be a person who has a kind of a psychosis or is a deep.
Well, further to 139.
I get him his meds. Hades Undead $5. Your mic is too low because you're on a podcast. Yeah, probably. Let me see. I was on with Frank tonight. It says my mic is not low right now, so maybe that was earlier. Zero Hypocrite $5. Sam being Catholic is because it's easier for him to receive communion. Shows how important proper catechesis is, even with experience debating Muslims. Well, it's just like Christian Prince. Like that's not catechesis because you're anti-Muslim and read the Bible a lot. That's not all there is to it. And by the way, it shows that like how ridiculous it is in the Roman Catholic Church that they don't even catechize their people. Like you just go to it and get communion. I mean, that doesn't happen. You understand the Orthodox Church, you don't just go there and get communion. That itself should tell you that it's the true church. Osteen, $10. I don't think Shamoun will let the dust particles comment go. You guys are part of, well, I mean, I don't know why he thinks that dust orbs are proof of something supernatural. It's just bizarre and weird. The Lula $5. Sometime last year he was doing streams that said claiming that the non-Chalcedonians are correct against us on the Fourth Council. He doesn't know anything about Christology, so again, it makes sense with all this inconsistency that he would go to Rome because Rome is the haven of incoherence and nonsense. The very things that he's arguing for, the theophanies, require the energies doctrine, and he laughs and makes fun of the energies when it's a New Testament doctrine. Anonymous $1. Hey Jay, say hi to your wife. I will do. Sneed chuckles at $5. I tried to watch Sam's streams once, and he spent an hour demanding that everyone stop posting in his chat, and then he would start lecturing. Rough Hands $5. Believes in being so special that orbs follow him, but you're a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, he tried to make fun of me for writing books about Hollywood nonsense and conspiracy stuff in Hollywood, which I've been completely vindicated about since I've been writing about it for 15 years, and I did graduate work on it. But he thinks that's a thing to make fun of, conspiracy. By the way, how boomer is that he doesn't even realize like the entire internet's awakened to conspiracies now. So he's like totally out of touch because he just yells at Muslims all day. But he tried to make fun of me for being on Alex when he went on the same show. Alyosha Games, $5. Should I buy BTC at 78 or wait? I would be stacking while it's dipped. You know what I mean?
So there's not much to this conspiracy, this debate between them. A lot of it seems to be personality clash, and I don't think Sam Shamoun or William Orbach are serious about debating Jay Dyer on these issues of energies. What is he on about? The energies and things. Well, um, so this is one of the issues they've been talking about. So we'll go to this. So this is one issue of others' issues. Eastern Orthodox theology. There is a distinction between the essence, ousia, and the energies of God. It was formulated by Gregory of Palamas, that's what I was saying, in 1296 to 1359 as part of his defense of the Athonite monastic practice. against the charge of heresy brought by the humanist scholar and theologian Balaam of Calabria. Eastern Orthodox theologians generally regard this distinction as a real distinction and not just a conceptual distinction. Historically, Western Christian thought, since the time of the Great Schism, has tended to reject the essence energies distinction as real in the case of God, characterizing the view as heretical introduction of an unacceptable division in the Trinity and suggestive of polytheism. The essence energies distinction was formulated by Gregory of Palamas of Thessalonica in 1296 to 1359 as part of his defense of the Athonite monastic practice. The mystical exercise of stillness to facilitate ceaseless inner prayer and noetic contemplation of God, against the charge of heresy brought by humanist scholar and theologian Balaam of Calabria. The Mystological teachings of the Hesychasm were approved in the Eastern Orthodox Church by a series of local Eschatist councils in the 14th century, and Gregory's commemoration during the liturgical season of the Great Lent is seen as an extension of the Sunday Orthodoxy. I continue. There's a link there if anyone wants to come on. So the link's there if anyone wants to come on. Eastern Orthodox view. In Eastern Orthodox theology, God's essence is called ousia, all that subsists by itself and which has not its being in another and is distinct from his energies, energia, or activities, or actualized in the world. The ousia of God is God as God is, the essence being nature and substance, as God has taught in Eastern Christianity, is uncreated and cannot be comprehended in words. According to Losky, God's ousia is that which finds no existence or subsistence in another or anything. God ousia has no necessity of substance that needs or dependent on anything other than itself. It is the energies of God that enable us to experience something of the divine, at first through sensory perception, and then later intuitively or noetically, as St. John of Damascus states in chapter 4, an exact exposition of the Orthodox faith. All that we say positively of God manifests not in his nature but the things about his nature. Type of distinction. According to Father John Ramadides, Palmer considered the distinction between God's essence and his energies to be a real distinction, as a distinction from the Thomist virtual distinction and the Scottish formal distinction. Remanides suspects that Balaam accepted a formal distinction between God's essence and his energies. Other writers agree that Palamas view the distinction between the divine essence and the divine energies as real. According to Vladimir Lossky, the neo-patristic school, if we deny the real distinction between essence and energies, we cannot fix any clear borderline between the procession of the divine persons as existence or realities of God and the creation of the world. Both the one and the other will be equally acts of the divine nature, strictly uncreated. The being and the action of God then would appear identical, leading the teaching of pantheism. Some contemporary scholars argue against describing Palamas' essence energies distinction as a metaphysically real distinction. Other philosophical theologians, David Bentley Hart, expressed doubt that Palamas ever intended to suggest a real distinction between God's essence and energies. G.B. Phillips argues that Palamas' distinction is not an ontological distinction, but rather an analogous to a formal distinction in the Scottish sense of the term. According to Dominican Catholic theologian, historian Father Aidan Nicholas, Palmer's essence energies distinction is not simply by virtue of his saving action, aber extra, a number of Latin terms here used in legal terminology. This is partial list of these terms. Much less a merely formal distinction, something demanded by the limiting operating capacities of human minds. According to Anne N. Wilson's study of Palamas, which is more recent than the assessments of Hart and Philip, in only two passages does Palamas state explicitly that God's energies are constitutively and ontologically distinct from the essence, as are the three hypostases. And in one place he makes explicit his view repeatedly implied elsewhere that the essence and energies are not the same. But William contends that not even in these passages did Palamas intend to argue for an ontological or fully real distinction, and that the interpretation of his teaching by certain polemical modern disciples of his is false. Eastern Orthodox criticism of Western theology. Eastern Orthodox theologians have criticized Eastern Orthodox theologians have criticized Western theology, especially the traditional scholastic claim that God is actus purus, is the absolute perfection of God, for its alleged incompatibility with the essence energy distinction. Christoph Janus writes the West confuses God's essence with his energy, regarding the energy as a property of the divine essence, and interpreting it later as pure energy, actus purus. According to George C. Padmentorio, the essence-energy distinction is contrary to Western confusion of the uncreated essence and the uncreated energies, and this is by the claim that God is actus purus. Catholic perspective. The Catholic Church distinguishes between doctrine, which is single and must be accepted by Catholics, and theological elaborations of doctrine about which Catholics may legitimately disagree. With respect to the Eastern and Western theological tradition, the Catholic Church recognizes that at times one tradition may come nearer to a full appreciation of some aspects of a mystery of the revelation than the other, or express it better in a better advantage. In these situations, the Church views the various theological expressions often as mutually complementary rather than conflicting. According to Meyendorff, from Palamas' time until the 20th century, Roman Catholic theologians generally rejected the idea that there is in God a real essence energy distinction. In their view, a real distinction between the essence and energies of God contradicts the teaching of the First Council of Nicaea on divine unity. Catholic theologian Ludwig Ott held that an absence of real distinction between the attributes of God and essence is a dogma of the Catholic Church. In contrast, Jürgen Kohlmann argues that the Catholic Church never judged Palamasm to be heretical, adding that Palamas did not consider that the distinction between essence and energies in God made God composite. According to Kohlmann, the denial of a real distinction between essence and energies is not an article of Catholic faith. According to Merendorf, the later 20th century saw a change in the attitude of Roman Catholic theologians to Palamas, a rehabilitation of him that has led to increasing parts of Western Church considering him a saint, even if uncanonized. Some Western scholars maintain that there is no conflict between the teaching of Palamas and Catholic thought on the distinction. According to G. Phillips, the essence energy distinction of Palamas is a typical example of a perfectly admissible theological pluralism that is compatible with Roman Catholic magisterium. Geoffrey D. Finch claims that the future of East West rapprochement appears to be overcoming the modern polemics of neo scholasticism and neo Palamism. Some Western theologians have incorporated the essence energy distinction into their own thinking. So I was just thinking about Herman Bavinck. Herman Bavinck taught the importance of transcendence and immanence. Bavinck confirms God's transcendence, his otherness, and supremacy, while also acknowledging his immanence, his active involvement in creation. This duality might resonate with essence and energy distinction, where God's essence is seen as beyond human comprehension, but his energies or actions are accessible and relatable. Unity of God's nature. Bavinck emphasized the unity of God's nature, arguing that God's attributes cannot be separated, which may contrast with the interpretations of the essence energy distinction that treat them as distinct realms. He would likely caution against any notion that implies a separation that diminishes the unity and simplicity of God's being. Revelation and relationship. Bavinck places a strong emphasis on God's self-revelation, particularly through Scripture and the person of Jesus Christ. In this light, he might view the energies of God as the means through which God interacts with humanity, while still asserting that these interactions reveal a God who is fundamentally one and undivided in essence. In summary, while Bavinck may not explicitly engage with the essence-energy distinction, his theological perspective would suggest a nuanced stance that values God's transcendence and immanence while reinforcing the unity of God's essence. His reflections would likely encourage a focus on how God's energies reveal his nature, consist with Reformed tradition. So, in short, the essence energy distinction, when you think about it, destroys the simplicity of God. And really it is really polytheism, because Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, three in one. There is no disconnect from the essence and the three persons. But the essence energy distinction, the energies don't have ontological status, so therefore it's a moot point. They're not significant, they're not important. In fact, it's dangerous teaching, because you're saying that distinct from the simplicity of the nature of God are these energies, which doesn't make sense. It's the energies should have ontological status, and if they don't, then it's dangerous. You're heading for polytheism. And then when you say energies, what do you mean by energies? And also, it's not a teaching that can be traced back to the Bible or even the early church fathers. It's like a late development. So that's one part of the controversy with Dyer and these other guys, the Catholic guys, Sam Shamoun and William Albright. There's other issues as well. But it seems to me that a lot of it's about personality. I think all three of them are narcissists, and they're getting what they deserve. Really, they're getting what they deserve. It's as simple as that. All right, gotta go. Take care, and God bless you. Bye now. Bye.